Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Marion Yoshino, and I'm a candidate for the Port of Seattle Commission, position number 5.
Go ahead. Wow, you were there.
Sorry, I'll just finish. So you might have heard that Commissioner Bill Bryant is not running for his seat again, and there's a vacancy. And for several years, I've been interested in working on the Port Commission, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about why. I moved to South King County. I live in the 34th about 18 years ago. And right when I moved, it was pretty clear that there was a lot of unhappiness about noise, mitigation, pollution problems. We had a lot of surface water runoff with de-icing fluid, and the port wasn't very interested in hearing about the problems. And as the years went by, I became more involved. I became a member of our city council over in Normandy Park, and then I started working as the economic development manager for the city of Des Moines. And I talked with a lot of business owners, and there's two main problems that we have working with the port. One is that employees aren't paid very well, and it seems to get worse and worse as time goes along. We really deserve to have $15 per hour for our workers who work at the port. And the other problem is that a lot of businesses have logistical problems or other issues that the port isn't really interested in listening to. So for example, hotels would like to have a different shuttle access pattern that really isn't anyone to talk to about that. So there's a lot of opportunity for economic improvement and to improve the wages for our local employees by having someone who's open to working with businesses in the way that they work at the Port of Seattle. Right now we have no commissioner from South King County. But the biggest reason is working for the city of Des Moines, we had a 90-acre port buyout property that was vacant land. And over 5 years, progressively, we were able to convert that property into a business park that's getting developed right now, and that will employ over 2,000 people. And adjacent to that 90 acres, there's another 70 acres in the city of SeaTac, there's another 125 acres in Burien, and there's other prime properties throughout King County that could be developed. There's businesses that want to locate there, and the port just moves very, very slowly. But if we had a port commissioner who is dedicated to converting those vacant properties into developments, it would really help our economies a lot. So there's really a lot of good work to do, and for that reason, I'm asked for your support. Thank you.
Any questions for Marion? Jim?
Boy, get ready. A little over 15 years ago, the people of King County, through the Port of Seattle, the municipal corporation of the Port of Seattle, for-profit corporation, municipal corporate Port of Seattle, spent billions of dollars of our tax money to build a modern intermodal port, a Terminal 5, for moving containers. At that time, we were the #3 container shipping port in the United States. Now we're down past 9, and I think there's only 9 major ports, so I guess we're coming in last place for container ports. But anyway, why are we moving an oil rig onto a container port that's supposed to be used for moving containers? What's up with the Port of Seattle? Why are they not able to get customers in here? When are they going to straighten it out?
Yes, it's the same.
You know, this is exactly what happened to us with the third runway. They exempted themselves from SEPA. The SEPA process is the process where there's a public hearing for decisions like the leasing decision to Foss Maritime. And the port had no good reason to exempt themselves from that public hearing process. And that's what we went through over and over again. And we had to take them to court again and again to get the environmental mitigations that we should have had through the SEPA process. So you're absolutely right. Everybody deserved to have a public hearing. They unilaterally, without listening to the public, decided that the $13 million that they were going to get from that lease was better for the taxpayer than anything else that the public might want. But it isn't fair. And it's happened. This is far from the first time. It's a closed door policy. And the commissioner that some of you know, Lloyd Hara, wasn't like that. But we don't have a commissioner like that on the court today.
Also, for everyone who has any questions, for everyone who has any questions,
discussion, we're going to go from our format that we did.
Thank you. I'll just talk. Okay. 2 minutes, okay, thanks. It's really good to be able to speak to you tonight for a couple of reasons. First, it's nice, I'm a long-term union member. It's nice to be able to come to meet in Union Hall and have a kind of discussion that's important to folks that belong to organized labor and understand the value and importance of collective bargaining and the ability to join together and support for your profession, for your career. I'm running for the Port of Seattle because I've got a depth of experience that is unusual from my particular career field, which is aviation. I'm leaving that career and I want to do something that contributes to the community. I've watched 2 school bonds fail in the local community I live in the last year, and I think it's a tragedy. Because of 217 votes, we have kids that aren't going to have new schools. I don't want to get in much about school bonds, but I can do something with other public opportunities, and in my case, Port of Seattle is a pretty good fit. I got 30 years in the airline industry. 80% of the revenue at the Port of Seattle comes from SeaTac International Airport and activities related to aviation that pass through that facility. 80% of the revenue of the entire port from the airline industry. Nobody on the port now has airline experience of any remark. Most of the people that are there don't have much of a relationship with South King County and the communities that surround the airport. I live in Des Moines. Des Moines abuts the south end of the airport. I, in fact, live directly under the 3rd runway, and I've been there from before that got built till today. I've seen the airline industry from pretty much every angle. 30 years working it, 25 years as a union member, 21 years in positions of leadership with my union, the pilots union, and I'm proud to wear my pin at every meeting. In that 21 years, for the last 10, I've been the labor representative elected to the board of directors at Delta Airlines, my current employer. First labor representative ever at that corporation at that level. So I've seen the industry from the top to the bottom. I guess that's a good segue to go.
I had a question. David.
Yes. First off, could you state your name for the record?
I'm sorry, Ken Rogers.
Okay. To the second point, Jim asked a good question here just a moment ago, but expanding it slightly. How specifically would you address the concerns of the City of Seattle and other interested parties with regards to the Shell oil tanker lease?
Yeah, and I appreciate that question because it's an important one.
Yeah, 60 seconds.
Thank you. The whole problem started in this particular instance with what I characterize as lack of rigor in the governance around that process, and that starts with an open meeting, transparency, and discussions. Because in the end, the public's going to find out about it. So why do you start down a path like that with an issue that's likely to be divisive behind closed doors? I don't see how that benefits anybody in the end. Because what we have now is a decision that many people are unhappy with. I don't know if the decision would have been different, but the process could have been different. Could have been more inclusive, could have been more collaborative, could have been more transparent. There was no economic barrier to that. It's kind of a culture, kind of a mindset. I promise if I win this election, I'll make every effort to never have that happen again 5 seconds ago. Three seconds.
So we actually have a couple more questions. We were originally going to ask both the candidates for the port. Would that be okay if we get an answer from each? I don't want to have one person have one or the other. How would you, starting with you, how would you continue, how would you continue to support the Duwamish cleanup effort, and what would your top priorities for that effort and the federal funding involved with it be?
For me?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, environmental remediation ought to be at the top of the port's to-do list. The commissioners provide governance. The staff, from the CEO down, are supposed to execute on that. So to the extent that the commissioners make that a priority for the CEO and for the staff, it ought to happen. Now, I'm not familiar with what exactly needs to take place in terms of the detail of that specific issue around there, but around the Duwamish. But I know for a fact that there needs to be additional clarity around where the environmental considerations come into how the port does business, how they view issues, and how they respond to them. So I will be an advocate for cleaning up the mess that the port is responsible for taking care of.
You know, I like Ken's answer, and I happen to sit on the, what we call the RIA, the Watershed Resource Inventory Area. Yeah. Oh, sure, I'm sorry. I happen to sit on the board of Watershed Number 9, which includes the Duwamish, as a representative of our city council for several years. And we did allocate the funding for the Duwamish cleanup projects and restores the salmon habitat in several spots along there. And it's a really tough situation because you can spend a lot of money and only remediate a tiny area. But we have made some really good progress. And one of my fellow council members is the King County coordinator for Watershed Number 9. And he was always my resource for how we can do better. So I've been fortunate that I've had a lot of good input from experts and people who have masters and PhDs in biology who have spoken about how we can spend that money. We need to try to maximize the money, and we need to spend what we have wisely.
Thank you. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, for the next position, thank you.